So this exercise is called Woodchoppers, and it's going to mimic somebody chopping wood. We actually give this to a lot of athletes because it's a rotational exercise, and rotation is important in a lot of sports to hit either a baseball or a golf ball. But when it comes to healthcare workers, the rock star actually has experience in a hospital being a healthcare worker, so she's going to explain why this is important in a healthcare setting.
So when I was pre-med, I shadowed some doctors, and what I've noticed, a lot of nurses, a lot of ET workers, a lot of them complain about is their abdominals, their obliques, their lower back especially. So you want to help yourself in those areas by using movement that creates growth in that area. And we're going to go ahead and do a wood chop that Kenny will further explain about.
So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a water bottle, the trusty water bottle. The rock star is going to take that. She's going to hold it in her hands, and she's just going to rotate around. The rotation is very important here because you want to start out light. This is 8 pounds. It's a pretty light weight to start out with. Lots of rotation. You can see she's using lots of different muscles in this exercise. You want to do about 10 on each side. Depending on the weight, you can do 10, work up to 15 or 20 with heavier or with weight also. If you want to add weight and go fewer reps, work slowly. Don't build up too fast because you don't want to tweak anything in your lower back. That rotation is a natural function, and you want to strengthen it. But you don't want to go too fast because you sure don't want to damage anything in that lower back. So we can also use dumbbells. And when you use a dumbbell in this, you want to make sure that you grip it like a baseball bat. So if the rock star holds this like a baseball bat, she's going to hold it up. She's going to do the same thing. But notice she's throwing or twisting to the left. Down on the right hip, twisting to the left. Once she changes sides, she's going to change her grip like a left-hander holding a baseball bat. So that is your wood choppers. There's different variations. This is a really good one to start with. This exercise is called the thruster, and it's a combination of two different exercises. It's a combination of a squat and a shoulder press. So what we're going to do is the rock star is going to grab a water bottle, and she's going to explain how this will help strengthen shoulders, legs, and why that's important for healthcare workers.
So again, during my time shadowing at a hospital, I noticed a lot of times people would bend over and not squat correctly. So they would use more of their back than they are with other parts of their bodies that's supposed to an everyday movement for a healthcare worker. So you want to strengthen your quadriceps, you want to strengthen your core muscles, especially your shoulder muscles when especially lifting something over your head. Okay, so you're going to...
So what she's going to do, she's going to hold the weight right here. And she's going to do a full squat. She's got a beautiful squat, and then she's going to use the power of the squat to push the weight above her head. So thrusters can also be done with dumbbells. You'll hold them right here. So the rock star is going to hold them there. She's exact same thing, but now she's going to, as she goes up, she's going to put them together over the top of her head. Excellent. Now, turning to the side, there's something very important. You don't want to push the weights forward. You still want to go over the top of your head. So I'm going to have the rock star push up, hold them together right there. Notice there's one straight line from her wrist all the way down to her heel. So the wrong way to do it would be to push those forward, because now you're working completely different muscles, and structurally that's just not very sound. So you want to be structural at the very top. This exercise is called hip crossovers, and it's to help strengthen your midsection, help get some flexibility in your hips, and strengthen up some of those core muscles that are so important.
Really important because, again, working at a hospital, not only do you want to strengthen the abdominal area, the obliques, when lifting a patient and rotating to bring them into a bed, or rotating a patient so that they don't get bed sores. But also you want to work with the flexibility behind that rotation.
So what the rock star's going to do, she's going to lay down, she's going to put her hands out. You want to keep everything flat from knuckle to knuckle all the way across, perfectly straight out. Now, there's two versions of this. One is the easier way. She's going to put both feet straight up, but bring one foot straight up. She's going to keep that L shape, and she's going to tick-tock this leg all the way out, all the way back over, touching the floor in both areas. So you see right here, she's opening up that strength or some flexibility in the hip there, back and forth. Now, if you want to make this harder for a little more strength, you can bring both feet straight up. It's important to keep both feet touching the entire time, because once she goes over and touches the floor, as she starts to come back up, those feet want to separate. So you got to keep the feet together to help build that strength. All the way over. Good. Now, a way to make this a little bit easier if you want to use both feet is just to bend the knees a little bit. It takes a little bit off the strain, but you still want to keep the feet together all the way over, and then all the way over back this way. And that is a hip crossover. To me, it's one of the best exercises you can do to help strengthen up your midsection and your core muscles. So this exercise is two exercises combined. It's a straight leg deadlift with a row. It's going to help strengthen up your lower back, your hips, and your hamstrings, otherwise known as your posterior chain. It's also there's a row in there, so it's going to help strengthen your upper back and your lats as well.
And again, for fellow healthcare workers, that's really important. Just as what we did earlier, you just want to strengthen that area of your body, because a lot of times I've seen people do biomechanics incorrectly in the hospital. They'll lift patients with their back, and in reality, you want to use your core. You want to strengthen areas like Kenny had mentioned, your posterior chain, where these areas you're actually engaging. And that will help with the lift, and you'll have less injury.
So what Raquel's going to do, she's going to grab the water bottle. This is if you don't have dumbbells. We're going to show you a dumbbell version also. She's going to put her feet about hip width, both of them pointed forward. She's going to let that hang. Notice, nice straight back as she goes forward, nice flat back, pull, and then come on back up, hips forward. One more time, down, throw, and come back up. Excellent. So if you don't have a water bottle and you actually have two dumbbells, you have two dumbbells, one in each hand. She's going to pull apart this way. So she's going to put them together, pull elbows up, and come on back up. Boom, just like that. That's perfect. There's several different variations of this. You can play with it a little bit on your own. The flat back on the way down, one more time. Notice her back is nice and flat. She does that by keeping her shoulder blades down and back and pushing her belly button forward as she goes down. That keeps the back nice and flat. And back up. That's going to be the safest way to do that. And it's one of the only things in this that I would not have a variation on. Just keep that back nice and flat.